On November 15th of last year, the NYPD viciously cracked down on the Occupy Wall Street movement in Zuccotti Park. The police department had the green light to evict protesters from the encampment. And for all those remained, they met the fate of severe police brutality. Now, it wasn't until later that we would learn that the police department's Technical Assistance Response Unit, or TARU, captured it all on film. And thanks to the group Anonymous, over 60 hours of that material has recently been leaked, showing arbitrary arrests, physical abuse, and press suppression. Let's take a look at some of that footage. So to hear talk to us more about this and what supporters of the Occupy movement are doing now to highlight this police brutality, I'm joined by Karanja Gashusha of the Occupy PR Working Group. Karanja, thanks for coming on.
Sure, thank you very much for having me, Abby.
So Karanja, I don't think a lot of people know why the NYPD has this TARU unit. Their purpose is really undefined. Their end product isn't even really seen by those who are featured in it. Is there any sense of what TARU actually does with this footage that they film at protests?
I think they would the NYPD and the mayor's office would have you believe that TARU is actually there to protect civilians and to have video footage available in the case of police abuses. But what we've seen, obviously, in this case is that the mayor has been backing the police when they've been abusive towards protesters, and video footage, they refused to release it, and the way we got this video footage, obviously, was through an anonymous release.
So I noticed in watching some of the footage that there's a lot of obvious edits in the material. It just kind of jumps from one scene to the other, particularly when the arrests are taking place. Did the NYPD have the opportunity to edit this film to cover up more severe police brutality than we've seen?
Well, it would certainly seem that way, and what we are calling for is a full release of full unedited footage that actually shows what really went down. And of course, some of us at Occupy Wall Street, we have our own media department, of course, which was one of our strengths, one of the sources of our strength. And our own video footage shows a lot of police abuse, but of course, police destroyed some of our hard drives, our computers, our cameras. So we don't have as much footage, as extensive footage as we could have had. So it does appear that it's unedited, and really the goal is to get the NYPD to release full footage. Full unedited footage.
Sure. Now there's a group of volunteers who are aggressively logging it, as you said. What kind of things are they looking for? I mean, will this be enough to build a solid investigation against the NYPD here?
Well, really, the point of the project is to log as much footage as we can possibly log showing direct and obvious abuses. We at Occupy are obviously very aware that there was a lot of abuses. We were at the wrong end of those abuses, so many of us endured them. I witnessed it. I was there on November 15th. I was a short distance away throughout the night, actually. We saw our fellow occupiers being beaten, being abused, arbitrary arrests, cops just coming and grabbing property like cameras and computers arbitrarily for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They faced no threats from protesters, and they chose to grab protesters, to arrest protesters, and even to prevent the exit of some protesters from the park, those who didn't want to be, to confront the police or to stand down the police. So the aim really is to provide as much evidence of police abuse as we possibly can, so that we can so that those who want to, and hopefully the idea is that many occupiers will want to press charges and get to the bottom of NYPD abuses. The UN Human Rights I forget exactly their title, but somebody from the Human Rights Commission pointed to the fact that the NYPD is not upholding international human rights values. So, you know, if the United States is going to, I just heard your last segment where you were talking about the faux debates last night between the two candidates, and if they're going to sit there and pose as if they are the police of human rights across the world.
Sure, they're ignoring their own thuggery right here in U.S. soil. But I wanted to ask you one last question to fit this in. We know that there was a class action lawsuit against the NYPD for the abuses that took place already. What happened with that? You have about 40 seconds here.
The suit is actually still underway, and we haven't actually gotten. I'm not at liberty to say much more other than the fact that it is still underway. Very notable, however, is that the NYPD refused to defend the one cop in particular, who's seen all over the world in footage of the pepper spray incident on Wall Street. So that's notable because it suggests that the NYPD did not feel that he was innocent and could be defended by the NYPD.
Well, thank you very much. I saw the NYPD abuse firsthand. They were making up rules on the spot, arresting people for no reason. Thank you for what you do, Karanja Gashusha, the Occupy PR Working Group.
Thank you very much for having me.